Foundation is obviously it's informed and inspired by two historical pillars. One being the Nichi Bei Shimbun, which was formed in 1899 by Kyutaro Abiko, said to be the most influential Issei pioneer. Not only did he create the Nichi Bei Shimbun in 1899, but he also founded three Japanese farming colonies in the Central Valley, a bank, program to send Nisei to Japan to learn more about their culture during the summer. And after he passed away in 1936, it was taken over by Yona Abiko, his wife, who is the younger sister of Umeko Tsuda, the founder of Tsuda College in Japan. Yona Abiko also was the chief fundraiser for the Japantown, or Japanese YWCA, which is now home to Nihonmachi Little Friends. After the war, some former staff members of the Nichi Bei Shimbun started the Nichi Bei Times to get the community reconnected after their devastating wartime experience in the concentration camps. They found the Nichi Bei Times as a way to get the community reconnected, and the leader of that movement was Shichinosuke Asano. The Times was started as a corporation, different from a sole proprietorship, which was what the Shimbun was. But Mr. Asano was a protege of the first commoner prime minister of Japan, Takashi K. Hara, who told him to go to America and make something of himself. So Mr. Asano used the early pages of the Nichi Bei Times to help guide this movement for post-war relief. And so you have 17 tons of products that were sent out here from America, and 20% of those were done by Japanese American groups and Japanese South American groups after the war, using different relief societies. So the Nichi Bei Times in those early stages was used to send those post-war relief goods to Japan, because although Japanese Americans came out of camp with nothing, Mr. Asano and others knew that those in Japan were even more devastated because of the war and starving. So they sought responsibility to send relief goods to Japan. The Nichi Bei Times board of directors was closing the newspaper in 2009. And to counter that, we started the Nichi Bei Foundation, technically July 27, 2009. And this was something really uncharted. It was uncharted waters. There was no model to go by. So essentially, we're starting this nonprofit organization to start the first nonprofit ethnic newspaper of its kind in the country, the Nichi Bei Weekly. Again, there's no model to go by, so the beginning of that was very tumultuous. But it was important to me to have the first edition of the Nichi Bei Weekly follow the very last issue of the Nichi Bei Times. So there was this continuity. And we did so because we felt the community needed a news resource, a means to keep people connected. And then a month later, the Hokubei Mainichi closed. The mission of the Nichi Bei Foundation, and by extension the Nichi Bei Weekly, is to keep the Japanese American, Asian American community connected, informed, and empowered. Very simple. I think also because of the times, the economic reality of when we were born, our mission has expanded to helping other community organizations through publication of their events, sponsorship ads of fundraising events. And I also see a large part of our role is documenting history as it happens. There's really no other newspaper doing that now. And as we've seen by the researchers who came to do research on the old Nichi Bei Shimbun, Nichi Bei Times, in 50, 100 years from now, the only thing that's going to indicate the life of the community is going to be the community newspaper. TV is not going to be indexed. Radio is gone one ear and out the other over the commercial break. And we don't know where the internet's going to be like. So what we're doing is documenting history as it happens. And I think that has become a large part of our role. And I think it's one of the awesome responsibilities that we have.
The Nichi Bei Foundation gave birth to the first nonprofit ethnic community newspaper of its kind in the country, in the worst economy in some 4 decades. The Nichi Bei has always been about being the glue that holds a community together, be it culturally, historically, socially, politically, spiritually, or emotionally. It became incumbent upon us to document the community's history for generations to come. Many of the special editions produced by the Nichi Bei Times were refined and published in the Nichi Bei Weekly, including the the New Year's edition, the Japanese Culture and Cherry Blossom Festivals Guide, the Obon and Summer Festivals Guide, Home and Garden issue, Health and Wellness issue. The Japanese Culture and Cherry Blossom Festivals Guide became our effort to preserve Japanese culture in America, providing vast listings of Japanese cultural arts classes, a guide to Japanese cultural festivals across the country, and a directory of Japanese cultural centers in North America, as well as summer cultural programs. The San Francisco Japantown Map and Directory, what we call our Japantown Empowerment Project, was vastly revamped in 2019. It highlights new businesses, Japantown favorites, as well as a history walk. Moreover, it continues to boast the most comprehensive map and bilingual directory ever developed of the ethnic enclave. To further promote and empower San Francisco's Japantown, we are now working with a distribution company to bring it to some 300 locations across the Bay Area. In 2012, the Nichi Bei Foundation launched what would become our signature fundraiser, the Northern California Soy and Tofu Festival. The festival has brought together food vendors, artisan vendors, cooking demonstrators, and live entertainment in an afternoon of creative fun for the entire family. All the while, it has served as a vehicle for community building and leadership development. As the Nichi Bei Weekly likely publishes the most book reviews per year of all Asian American publications, it was natural to help further empower authors by collaborating on author events, often in partnership with other organizations. But the evolution of the foundation as an educational institution came to a head in the development of 3 events in particular, which not only became core programs of the Nichi Bei, but also some of the most meaningful community events overall. Films of Remembrance was launched in 2012 to provide filmmakers a venue to showcase their work on the Japanese American concentration camp experience during World War II. The event has grown to become the Foundation's signature educational program and the premier event of any of its kind in the country, spanning some 90 film screenings over 9 years, while expanding to Sacramento in 2017, New York City in 2019, and to San Jose's Japantown in 2020. The Nichi Bei Foundation launched the Nikkei Angel Island Pilgrimage in 2014 to get the community reconnected to our nearly forgotten legacy on the island, in partnership with the Angel Island Immigration Station Foundation and the National Japanese American Historical Society. With more than 650 attendees, it was perhaps the largest Japanese American community gathering on the island. The immigration station may have been lost forever, however, had it not been for those who we honored at the pilgrimage in 2014. Through 4 Nikkei Angel Island pilgrimages, we now have reconnected some 1,700 or more people to this nearly forgotten legacy, helping to rediscover our Nikkei roots while honoring our immigrant ancestors. On October 7, 2017, we launched our first pilgrimage to the historic Wakamatsu Tea and Silk Farm Colony in Placerville, California, the site of the first large settlement of Japanese America, established on June 8, 1869. On October 5, 2019, we launched our second pilgrimage to the site, the birthplace of the first Japanese American and gravesite of the first Japanese woman buried in America, Okei Ito. Volunteers from the California Genealogical Society have been able to reunite hundreds with their family histories at both pilgrimages. In furthering the Nichi Bei legacy of community leadership through media, the Nichi Bei Foundation has also held some special programs over its short tenure. 2015 marked the 20th anniversary of Kayohata's groundbreaking Picture Bride, the first major film written, directed, and produced by Asian American women. The Nichi Bei Foundation benefit screenings included discussions and a reception with actress Tamlyn Tomita. In 2016, we organized 3 benefit screenings of Persona non grata, the story of Chiyune Sugihara, known as the Japanese Schindler for issuing transit visas that saved the lives of some 6,000 Jewish refugees. 5 local descendants of such survivors met with descendants of the Japanese diplomat from Japan. In November of 2016, due to a rash of post-election hate crimes seemingly inflamed by the racial rhetoric of the Trump campaign, The Nichi Bei Foundation took a lead role in organizing United for Compassion, a Japantown vigil against post-election hate. This collaborative event brought out hundreds in unity against racial scapegoating. A United Compassion 2 was held in 2018. And to mark the 75th anniversary of the atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, the Nichi Bei Foundation took a lead role in presenting a virtual remembrance 75 years after atomic bombings on August 9, 2020, in collaboration with the Friends of Hibakusha and the Japanese American Religious Federation.